I have been selling this book, Zanazli and Wan Chun Hong's Guide to Indie Filmmaking, which is published by MPH for a while now. It's a really good book if you want to be a filmmaker, whether it's for YouTube, social media, TV, film, cinema, whatever. This is the book to get. I'm going to make it more accessible and more affordable to all of you because I believe that everybody needs to become a filmmaker. The more filmmakers we have in the world, I think this world will be a better place to live in. Now it's available as an electronic book download on my website. I'm going to link it here. It's really cheap, it's really affordable. It's only 5 ringgit if you want to get the ebook version. Okay, 5 ringgit. It doesn't really cost much, right? It's just a little bit of something for me. I mean, it did take a lot of work to write. Each chapter of this book talks about one part of the filmmaking process. And for each chapter as well, I interview a local filmmaker. It's only 5 ringgit. It's only 5 ringgit. You're watching and listening to the Fat Bidin Film Club. I'm assuming Azan Azli. As usual, we watch a local film and we review it. And this week, we're watching a local film and we're reviewing it. And the film is called
Pungut.
Tunduk.
Pungut.
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 Pungut Sampah.
Okay, so you watch Pungut.
We watch Pungut.
Pungut!
I don't know why, but I keep reading the title as like Pengat. Then I feel like I want to eat Pengat pisang.
No, it's Pungut. It's about trash.
Okay, so what's it about?
It's about trash! Yeah, so the film is basically about this trash area, like a trash dump site, and the people or the community surrounding the dump site lah. So you've got like this, yeah, it's a landfill. So you've got like this, it starts off with them showing you like this guy that kind of runs it, so he pays you for all your like tin and scrap, whatever. Then there's like a pair of mother-daughter that collects all these scraps, and then there's these 2 boys who sell sugarcane but also ketum in front of the landfill, and then suddenly there's this new guy, this old guy that moves into this area, I guess, and he also starts collecting trash. But then there's another guy who is here to take over the landfill because he wants to run his drug operations through the landfill, and then the story goes from there, I guess.
Yeah. What do we think about the film?
What do we think about the film? What do you think of the film?
I don't know, I kind of like the film. It can get confusing at times, but I like the film. Number one, the way it's shot reminds me of how I and a lot of my friends were shooting films with digital cameras back in the early 2000s. You know, because that was the look. The film looked like it was shot on a Panasonic 102B. Okay, which we used to shoot in 2002, 2003, 2004. Okay, that kind of camera that we use, DV cameras. DV cameras, right? Like 3 CCD broadcast DV cameras. So for me, the look gave me a very nostalgic feel, very familiar feel of when I was starting to make films and I was making all these like indie digital films. And I like that look because all the films that were coming out at that time looked like that. Now I don't know if the director of photography for this film intentionally wanted it to look like that, or he screwed up and it looked like that. Because if he was shooting with like high-end technology, the high-end cameras today, it looks like that, you better have intentionally made it look like that. Right? But if it was intentional, it looked okay because it was consistent. The look was consistent throughout, right? The color, even the editing style, everything, it was consistent throughout the whole film. So I'm going to assume that it was very intentional. Then great, I like the way it looked, right? It also reminded me of a play that was then made into a film by Namron, which is called Gedebe. And Gedebe is about this bunch of punk rock gangsters living in Malaysia, you know, and all that. And they are going through life in society and all that lah. And of course, Namron's Gedebe was a, what do you call, not allegory, it's a symbolism to symbolize a different story.
Don't know what you're trying to say.
I'm stupid, so I don't know much about this kind of thing. But okay, it's like this. This film, Pungut, although it's about these kampung gangsters who are trying to gain control of a landfill, so that they can, like, one person is trying to be pure and with integrity, trying to, like, help the orang kampung by giving good prices when it comes to, like, recycling tin and plastic and all that, and people bringing in rubbish. And another is like a big time gangster who's, like, using his force to take over the landfill and then kind of, like, screwing with everybody's, like, income lah. You know, don't want to give them the right market rate and that, you know. So it screws them. And then you've got these other people who are, like, struggling to make a living, who doesn't want to get involved, but they're doing other things and all that, right? It's kind of like maybe they're trying to make it represents the overall Malaysian political scene and democratic government system, because they keep referring to it in their dialogue.
Yeah.
Right?
Dewan Besar lah.
Yeah, orang Dewan Besar, orang parlimen, orang yang menggubal undang-undang, and they talk about corruption and they talk about, you know, living a good life and all that. So I know that's what they're trying to get lah, to get to. And it kind of works for me. But there are sometimes also when you're watching this film, you're like, wait, are they really doing that? You know, some parts are a little bit confusing. Maybe it's a little bit too highbrow for me, or not highbrow enough. I don't know. But overall, I think it does work for me, and I like the dialogue, and I like the performances, and I like the storyline and how it's done. It may be a little bit too long, the film, but overall it does have that feeling of wanting to be a social commentary of the political environment and the government of our society in Malaysia lah. I particularly like, you know what, the fighting scenes. The fighting scenes look really good, really well choreographed, and it was nice. Yeah, I might have more things to say, but what do you think?
I also think it's a social commentary thing. It's important to know that the guy who directed the film is also the guy who shot the film, and also the guy who came up with the idea of the film.
And one out of two people who wrote the script.
So it's clear that he was, like, invested in the film.
He's an author of the film, you know.
Yes. So we could see that in the film lah. I don't know. It started off really interesting. I thought it continued to be interesting, but it did get very confusing. The dialogue was a little bit too one-dimensional for me at some points. Like, the gangster is clearly just a gangster, and then, like, this other guy that is going against the gangster is also, he might be the better of the two, but he is also just doing it because he gila kuasa a bit. But there's, like, you cannot really see the real motivations behind it. And then they tried to put in this kind of weird, like, the guy who just moves in, Saleh, he's an older guy, right? And he's, like, constantly following one of the boys who is selling the ketum and selling the sugarcane, Omar. And, like, at one point Omar goes and, like, confronts him.
Why are you following me?
Why are you following me? But then we don't really know why he's following him. And then later on we reveal, like, oh, he's friends with the father or whatever. But it was so long before the reveal. So I was confused because I didn't really understand everybody's motivations. So I, like, why? That was a thing that came up a lot for me.
You know, the isn't it, like, also kind of like choosing the lesser of two evils?
Yeah,
kind of thing,
so there was that
you know,
going on also.
which is like how politics is like, right? Yeah.
I really did get the social commentary bits, and I really enjoyed them, but the lack of motivation kind of lost the film a bit for me, because every single character didn't really have a motivation to why they were doing what they were doing, and it was I don't know, for me it felt a little bit weird. Because they were just doing things, but then, like, why are they doing these things? And they were like, why is this guy so intent on advising this boy and saying like, oh, don't do this right thing or wrong thing. Then this boy like, oh, just listen to one speech only, or suddenly, oh, I'm not gonna sell ketum anymore. It was awkward lah. It was there was no real character development for anybody, which made it awkward for me when I was watching it. And then they lost me a bit. And like, even this revealing of actually he's friends with the boy's father also was like so late at the end. Like, credits gonna come out already, then only they revealed it. So it was too late lah for me. I don't know. It was, the fight scenes were cool. I thought the entire premise of the film was very cool. This whole like, this community that's surrounded by, that centers around the landfill, was very cool because there are a lot of landfills here in Malaysia, and you know, it was nice to see lah. Like, it was just a different story to see. It was nice to see, but yeah, they lost me a bit on the character development bit part.
I think this film, you cannot watch it as like a realist or realism film, because I think character development is not important for the story, for this particular story. Motivation also, it's not important for this kind of story, because every character is actually just a symbol for something, and every scene and every action is a symbol for something. So it's like, you know when you read a poem, the poem is not supposed to be a literal telling of a story.
So basically, this film is a giant metaphor.
Yes, a metaphor. Allegory pula, stupid lah. I don't know anything.
This film is a giant metaphor.
Yeah. So these kind of films will be
of Malaysian politics.
These kind of films will be categorized as formalistic films, and they're full on. As far as like the filmmaker or even I as an audience is concerned, when we look at these characters, they probably never had a childhood, they never had parents, they never had it's just they are there at that particular age doing that particular thing for every single character. So they're all just serving a certain purpose of just being metaphorical. And I agree with you, it's a little bit too long. It could have been, shortened a little bit, but I don't know. Did you notice that actually all the shots and framing and angles of the film were thought out and planned out very nicely? You know that the old gangster man with the braided beard? There was this one scene where he was looking at his gang fighting the other gang, and he just sat there, and he was like so poetic with the stalks flying from the back of the landfill and all that. I thought it was planned out very nicely.
Yeah, I think the directing is good. I can also kind of say the story is actually quite good. But yeah, it's a personal preference thing, I guess. I prefer some character development because I have nothing to attach to. But objectively, when I watch the film, it's not a great film, but it's actually quite a good film. It's a good film. It's a good film, good-ish film.
This film would do well in film festivals, I guess.
Yeah, it's a good-ish film, but but I have no personal attachment to it because it doesn't make me feel anything for anyone. And those are the films that to me really kind of resonate lah. Like, you asked me about Imagino today, I can still answer you because it's still, I feel like I watched it yesterday. Same with Abba Ade. But this film, I had no feels. Feels itu penting tau.
It's a different genre. You can't compare.
I know, I get that it's a different genre. I understand that, which is why I said it's actually objectively a good film. But for me, I wouldn't watch it again lah. So but it's a good film. Yeah, it's a good film. Very well controlled. The shots are nice.
I would say go and watch this film.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. It may not be for everybody. It's definitely not mainstream film. But go because I think you should all go and watch and try. I mean, Tokyo Magic Hour. I would still recommend people to go and watch it, even though you might get like a sprout of grey hair suddenly sprout out after you watch the film. But still a good film. So yes.
Is that why you got your first grey hair? Watching Tokyo Magic?
No, I got my first grey hair when I married you.
No. That's not true. You already had grey hair when you married me.
Yes. I got grey hair when I became the offspring of my father. Like our entire family all grey hair already. So yeah.
Watch this film.
Yeah, let us know what you think.
I agree that people should go and watch this film. It's different. It's new. Watch this film.
Yeah. So okay, let's know what you think. like this video, don't like this video, subscribe to our channel or follow us on all our social media platforms at FatBidin, or go to fatbidin.com to get everything you've been watching and listening to the Fat Bidin Film Club. I'm assuming I'm Zan Azli.
And I'm Shalim Sawan.